Hi, I want to go over density before our test. So you will need to get on Canvas and open the density review questions. They're in the modules the day before the test. So open that up and do those. Turn this off until you're done. Okay, I'm assuming you're back and you've already done the questions on Canvas. It's not going to help you if you're just going to copy down my answers because I'm not even taking a grade on this paper we're doing today. It's to help you get ready for the test. So if you're not going to do it, then you're not going to be prepared. Okay, first of all, what is density? These two objects are exactly the same shape and size, but this one weighs significantly less. Sorry. This one is aluminum, this one's brass. The brass one is heavier even though it's the same size. The molecules are packed much more tightly together. There's space between the molecules of this one. I got another example to show you. These two objects, totally different size, but they weigh the same. So density is a comparison between mass or weight and volume. Mass being how much matter is in an object. You used a balance to figure that out. And volume is how much space it takes up. But these weigh the same. The styrofoam has a lot less density because its molecules are much farther apart. The steel has more density because the molecules are much closer together. Same is true for liquids. Vegetable oil has a lot more density than water. If you put water and vegetable oil in a cup, they won't mix, and the vegetable oil will float because it's less dense, even though it's thicker. It's thicker. Okay, so on your paper, all matter in the universe is made of atoms. There is some space between atoms. However, atoms are so small that the space between them is so small. The closer the atoms are together, the more dense a substance is because there is more atoms in a smaller space. Which of these is more dense? So this one has almost no space between the atoms. These two have some space. It asks which item is more dense, so that would be A. This one, even though they're the same size, this one would weigh more. This one would weigh the least. So your answer would be A. So number 2 says this means that the density is found by mass and volume. How big or small an item is, that's what volume is. Imagine picking up an apple made of lead and a real apple. Which would be heavier, the real apple or the lead apple? So you have to think, if you had an apple made of lead, that'd be pretty heavy, even though it was the exact same size. So your answer would be real, a real apple. Which is more dense, cork or metal? They're approximately the same size. Imagine picking those up, which would be more dense? Well, it would be the ball, or the metal, I guess. That's what it asks for. Now look on your paper and see if you got the same answers I'm getting. If you don't, you might want to do some studying for the test. All right, so the next one says, look at the diagram below. This is a balance. Two cubes have the same mass. They have the same mass because the balance is equal. They're both 100 grams. However, one is much bigger. With what you know about mass, which cube has more density? So they weigh the same. So think about, to make them, since they weigh the same, which one would have the molecules squished up tighter together to get 100 grams? Well, this one would have to have them, because that means these two have the same amount of molecules, since they weigh the same. So you would have to pack the molecules way tighter in this one. So it said, which cube has more density? Well, it'd be the red one. Okay, the next one says, look at the different diagram below. Look at the diagram below. All the objects have the same size. Notice they're all the same size, 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. However, their mass and weight is very different. How much does the cube weigh that has the most density? Well, they're the same size. So in order to get the more density, you'd have to pack the molecules in tighter in order to make it weigh more. So it would be this, 11.34. Liquids have density too. Notice the amount of alcohol and water are the same. However, liquids have density too. Notice the amount of alcohol and water are the same. However, one has more mass. We're talking about this kind of alcohol. Does water or alcohol have the same density? So you have the same amount in each glass, but the water weighs more. So which one would have to have the molecules packed closer together? Well, it'd have to be the water. All right, number one, items. One, reasoning that items float. Items float in liquids that have more density than them. They sink in an item that has more density than the liquid. Which item has the most density? So it's water in all three of them. Which one of these items has the most density? It would have to be the one that has the molecules packed close together, which means it weighs more, so it would have to be C. Okay, the other thing I wanted to mention to you is I have here two pieces of aluminum. I have this one and I have this one. Those two pieces of aluminum, even though one's only half the size of the other, if I took the density of these, if they are both pure aluminum, they should both have the same density. Aluminum should have a density that is predictable. So if you look it up, you can actually see the different densities of different materials. Okay, hopefully one more thing I want to do is show you how to calculate density. Well, you find the object's mass. Let's say the mass equals 27.4 grams. You might find that on a scale or a balance. The problem might tell you what that is, but the mass, and let's say the volume, which is how much space it takes up, which you might find with an overflow can, you might find with a formula like length times width times height. You might find the volume by putting the actual item into a grad cylinder and see how much the water level goes up. Well, let's say the volume is 12.8 milliliters, which could also be centimeters cubed. Remember, those are the same thing. Well, density is equal to mass divided by volume. So I'm going to put my mass on top of a fraction, 27.4 grams, and I'm going to put my volume on the bottom, 12.8 milliliters or centimeters cubed, whatever you want to put. Now, I've refilled my formula with the numbers and I kept the units with it. Then I'm going to get my calculator. A fraction says it's a divide problem. So I'm going to put 27.4, top number in first, divided by 12.8. I hope I turn the actual calculator on. Hang on. 27.4 divided by 12.8 equal. I get 2.140625. I'm going to show you how to round at some point this year, but your unit would be right here, grams per milliliter. Literally divide, top number in first. A fraction means divide, top number in first, divide, bottom number equal, and you get your answer.